It's Tobago Thursdays here on the Now Morning Show, and we head back across to Tobago to have a chat with debate facilitator Ajay Alleyne, who joins us to chat about the primary plenary debate happening actually next Thursday. Good morning to you, Ajay.
Hi, good morning, Rawkus, and good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. I'm just extremely excited as usual.
I love that for you. Tell me firstly, before we get into what's coming up for next Thursday, how have the debates been going so far?
It has been really exciting. This is just edition 2. You know, they say when something's nice, you do it twice.
Yeah.
And based on the impact of the first primary plenary where they debated on the SCA examination, we saw a number of them, at least half of the debating team went to Bishop's High School, and they returned to the house a couple of weeks ago to be a part of the social studies syllabus, and these children who were like a return to home for them, they were absolutely comfortable in the house. They asked questions, they helped their colleagues to prepare for the exams and so on. So it's really beginning to spill over,
Nice.
and we just enjoying the experience.
And you get to see the growth of the students along the way as well.
Correct.
Now, the next Thursday, we have 21 primary schools taking part in this debate, yeah?
Correct is right.
Tell me what the motion is that's up for debate this time around.
So this time around, we have them in the hot seat. So they will be discussing the issue of autonomy and how they think Tobago autonomy would affect them as young people and even the Trinidadian colleagues. Because, they had the chief as the facilitator a couple of weeks ago, and we heard some questions from these young Tobagonians. They are watching. As a young adult in the Tobago space, I and all felt the need to be a little more careful, a little more prudent in what we post or how we speak on the national issues, because these primary schoolers, they are paying keen intent on what's happening with our governance system.
And they definitely would continue to. So I'm happy that you were able to realize that so that we can say, all right, we need to make sure that everybody is more aware that the children are affected by the national conversation. How have they been managing that heavy topic of autonomy, though?
Initially we were a bit fearful as a team in terms of how they would manage it, because the motion is written a bit broad to give them room to explore. However, they were just eating this information like nothing. We had a student even asking the chief, would Tobago would have been better off if we would have remained a British colony?
Oh,
and we were baffled as staff as to the questions they were asking. They want to know if a new passport would create it, what will happen with their Trinidadian colleagues, would they still be able to visit schools in Trinidad? They asked some critical questions that we as adults, we didn't even think that they would have asked. So we know they are aware, we know they are doing the research. And probably I might have to retire early and just leave them to take charge.
Well, to me, it's really nice to hear that they're asking these questions because, like you mentioned, some of the adults not even asking these questions. So somebody has to ask them, and oftentimes the truth comes out of the mouth of babes, or so they say. In terms of preparing for this debate, you mentioned just now that the facilitator was the chief Fali Chavez Augustine. Tell me, in terms of what other preparation the students have to go through in order to be as prepared as they can be for this debate.
Okay, lovely. So what they did last week with the chief is the subject matter expert. So he would have explained to them the history of the autonomy, even give them a book which is written by Miss Ingrid Melville. So they had the opportunity to feel some of the emotions and to relate it from a historical standpoint. And I can tell you it wasn't political being present. He really explained the A&R Robinson journey, the reason why APT James is the name on one of our inter-island ferries and so on. They also spent some time with Miss Charmaine Rivers, who is one of the hospitality staff at the Parliament. So she did dress code and etiquette with them. They were also briefed in parliamentary procedures at the Assembly Legislature that was done by Miss Delia O'Neill. And they will be spending some time with me today as we fine-tune actual public speaking and debating and presentation skills. And Miss O'Neill would be there as well just to reinforce how the House should operate correctly and not what we see practiced on some occasions.
Okay, so are there like practice debates going into it so that they get a chance to say, well, all right, I know what it feels like to be in that hot seat?
Correct. So they are spending the whole day today at Assembly Legislature. So they'll be sitting in the seats using the miking system, hearing back themselves through the audio-visual system. And even if possible, they might be able to see what they would look like on camera as well today, once the system permits. But they will spend the time in the house, see if the building is too cold, if the seats are too tall, and that kind of stuff today.
What has the usual reaction been to the first time that they're in the house and they sit behind those seats and use the microphones, etc.?
Okay, so it's usually we get two types of responses because at Assembly Legislature they usually encourage a lot of school tours. So for some of the students, it's not necessarily the first time.
Right.
And then for some of the others, you get an awe. They wouldn't believe that they have access to those buildings. Usually they would sit back in the chair and you would see the broadest of smiles and you would see them working from side to side. And so now when they hear the voice, you would see like the jump or the surprise to hear the voice coming through some of these systems. But it has been an excellent process, an excellent program with them, and they enjoy the experience.
Most definitely. Tell me, in terms of when you guys initially had this idea for doing the primary plenary debate, did you see it becoming what it is now? Did you expect the sort of integration, the sort of response from the students and the schools?
I mean, absolutely not. When presiding officer Taylor brought the idea and we went as a team, we were of the view that some of the students, they may be a little timid, they may be unsure. We were wondering what response we would get from the teachers or the parents. But now it's become even bigger than the actual sitting of the adults. Because a lot of persons anticipate hearing the raw truth from these children. I mean, you can't filter them. The most we could is provide the structure for them. But we encourage them not to have the parents tell them what to say, but guide them along their own ideas and their own perspectives. And I think this year more than ever, because as you go along, you would learn and we would reassess the program. So we have a lot more parental involvement this year, and I think it's really pushing the project. So it's not just the debater who's been impacted by the training and the procedures, but the parents are now allowed to be a part of the training programs. And I've even gotten information that the family is now a part of it. So they prepare their presentation and they present before granny and auntie and uncle. And then granny would share her views on autonomy and her experiences. And then uncle would share his side of it. So then you now have the whole family being involved in preparing this one student. And I'm happy that we're bringing back that Tobago and that village culture a part of the process. I mean, it's a very good byproduct.
And it also gives the opportunity for the family to learn together as well, because some of these stories may not have come out in any other context except for this preparation process. So
Correct.
Let me say congrats to you and the team. Have there been any challenges that you faced so far, and how have they been dealt with?
I mean, yes, we have encountered a couple of challenges. The main one is I didn't realize that there's such a high demand for Standard 5 students. Because you would see it's usually a clash for time, because there is storytelling and there is different assessments. So it's really tricky to navigate the space, and the essay this year fall a lot later. So when we usually had about 2-3 weeks to treat it, we now just have about 2 basically. So it's now been able to navigate that time and that space. But the parental support has been amazing, Rawkus. I know you have a young daughter, and if you have the opportunity, you may have sent her to Tobago to be a part of this. But I mean, it's really, really impacting, and I must say much appreciation to Miss Cooper and to Ms. Taylor and those staff at Assembly Legislature for really pushing and driving this process. And I must say thanks to the teachers and the parents as well for even motivating us as staff when we feel lethargic, when we feel that we encountering so many hurdles. They would keep encouraging us, you go, you all try again, I would ask on their behalf. So, I mean, I must say much commendation to members of the team.
Most definitely. I must congratulate you and the entire team for making sure that this happens, and it continues to happen. So congratulations, and please keep it up. Let me say thank you very, very much for joining us this morning and for sharing the information. And we look forward to the results. We look forward to the clips coming out from it, and we look forward to the next one as well.
Yes, so let me just quickly add as well, the debate can be viewed live on all of Assembly Legislature social media.
Nice.
I don't know if TTT, you all can broadcast it live as well. You know, I know you have strong links in Tobago. And what we're also doing as well, we usually have a study tour every year for the secondary school students. So they usually go to the UK. We want to do something similar for the primary schoolers, but due to financial constraints, it's kind of challenging. So we're now seeking corporate support as well. And we also have some people house hoodies out, so you can pre-order them at Assembly Legislature. They are gorgeous workers. They would suit you beautifully. I mean, it would make you nice and cozy and set. So when you have the opportunity, you can connect with your Tobago staff and get your people's house hoodie.
Yes, sir. No problem. We will organize. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Ajay.
No problem at all. And you have a wonderful day.
You too, brother. Take care. And that's Ajay Alleyne, the debate facilitator with the primary plenary debate happening next Thursday. 21 primary schools participating. The motion up for debate, ladies and gentlemen, is the impact Tobago autonomy will have on the youths of Tobago. How do you feel about that?
They could be talking about fruit trees. If Ajay is the facilitator, they're going to do exceptionally well. His energy is always infectious, and I know that the students come out of it not just learning the skills of the delivery, but also getting that fundamental message of how Tobago ought to be governed, being part of it, and what role they play in it. So I'm really excited about hearing this conversation.
Yeah. I also realized that it's interesting when you get that generational link, because now these students are getting this information and they're excited about it, and it's things that some of the adults might be taking for granted, and things that we may not care to understand or care to discuss really. And then you say, wait a minute, we should be talking about this, and this has been my experience, and now you can do a little bit different. Yeah. Let's take a quick break and we come back with more conversation here on the Now Morning Show. Stick around.